So, hello guys, welcome to MJ's Academy here. Today, we are going to start with the part 2 of our lesson, that is our environment. In this lecture, we are going to cover the topic that is food chain and how food chain is important in our environment. So, let us start. So, here we are going to start with food chain. So, what is food chain in the first place? Food chain is the sequence of the flow of energy from organism to organism. So, it is a sequence or a range from which the energy is transferred from one organism to another organism. You might not understand by the help of the definition, because how we are going to flow the energy through one organism to another organism, like we can't flow energy between any two human beings, but it is not like that. Let us take the example is, first, here are the plants are always at the starting of any food chain because they are the producers from which all the foods or other are produced or they are gained. So plants are the producer, and what they produce is known as the food which we eat, because we eat the food like wheat, jawar, bajri, rice, and that is also obtained from plants. So that food is eaten by a mice. We can always see mice nearby any food shop or anywhere we can see, but that's unhygienic. But we could see, if we keep food open, they tend to come to that. So the plants produce food and the food is eaten by a mice. Then the mice is eaten by a snake. It has been observed by many scientists or biologists that mice are always tend to be eaten by snakes because they are the favorite food of snakes. Here snakes become the secondary consumer. So anything that consumes the energy made by the plant or the food is known as the consumers. Plants tend to make food. They make their own food by consuming the energy coming from the sun. They use sunlight in order to form food. So they take the energy or solar energy to form food. So that solar energy is converted into food energy or the chemical energy. So that chemical energy is intaked by us or any other organism who are herbivores because they eat plants. So mice are omnivores because they eat anything. So it also eats food by plants. Then primary consumer is the mice. Then after that there is secondary consumer, then there is tertiary consumer. We can see primary means first, secondary means second one, and tertiary means third one. Eagle in this food chain can also be known as the apex consumer or the top consumer. So after that, it also has been observed that snakes are already eaten by eagles. We can see many pictures around them. Then eagles are not eaten by anybody because we have never observed anybody eating eagles. If any human practices there, we don't know, but no other organism tend to eat eagle. So that is why in this food chain, eagles are known as the apex consumers. So you might be thinking that what does eagle do if they die, because nobody eats eagle. But this is another question, that eagles, after they died, nobody kills the eagle, but after they die they come to decomposers, because we can see every body decomposes after the death of any organism like mice, snake. If a mice dies naturally without eaten by a snake, it also goes to the decomposers decompose everything, and they make nutrients out of those. They make nutrients. This is important. Decompose the organisms and make nutrients out of them. And where do we see plants grown? They are grown in the soil, and decomposers also are found in the soil. So they take the nutrients of the dead bodies and mix it with the soil, and those nutrients in the soil are used by plants to gain the nutrients and to again complete the cycle. So plants take up the nutrients from decomposers, and this cycle continues again till the eagle, and after that eagle dies, another cycle starts. So this cycle or sequence of the flow of energy, so the energy flows from plants, food, mice, snakes, eagles. So this is known as the food chain. So there is another important factor, that if any one of the factors of the food chain gets affected, it affects or influences its relationship with other elements. Means any one of the factors, like if plants get affected by, if there is a drought, huge drought, we can see it is a disaster, it shouldn't be happened, but if there is a drought, it affects the population of mice, because mice eats plants or food which is there. It affects those mice, and mice also starts dying. So if there is a lack of this mice, it would also affect the snake. If there is lack of mice, there would be also a lack of snakes, because they don't get even the food. And if there is less number of snakes, it affects the eagles too. So if one part of the chain gets affected, see how the effect is on the chain. So that is the, also we can say, a message that due to the global warming or the climate change, this food chain changes are tend to be happened, because anyone like plants are also deforestation. This also affects many organisms, and that affects our environment. So we have to keep in mind, we have to lessen the pollution, and we have to change the climate change. That is the effect of that climate change on the food chain. So this was all for today's video. Thank you for watching.